The battle for the Ignition Chamber was the chaotic final stand of the Michael Bay universe as we witnessed the Autobots and the humans work together once again to save their planet from the evil Decepticons and the quote-unquote Mad Goddess Quintessa. However, despite being the last major battle of the Michael Bay universe, this fight seems to be the least favorite of most people out there. And it doesn't help the fact that the movie that this fight debuted in happens to be probably the most hated and least liked Michael Bay movie out of all of them. But that doesn't mean there wasn't quite a bit of death in this battle, whether it was human casualties or Transformers casualties. Out of all the other fights throughout all the other movies, this is probably one of the ones that has the highest amount of stakes, just because of the fact that if they didn't stop the energy transfer in time, the Earth was just gone, so just like that.
Gone. Reduced to atoms.
As you guys are about to see, the last night fight was not only chaotic and weird, but it's also very strange, especially for this series, because there's a lot of death that we see, there's a lot of death that we don't see, there's a lot of implications that the whole Cybertron colliding with Earth has that probably puts this fight on the higher end of the Collateral Damage series, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, I want to take a look back at this fight and see how many casualties can we catch from it. Welcome back to Transformers Collateral Damage, the place where we take a look at the darker side of the Transformers movies. Here we take a look at how many innocent civilians got caught in the crossfire between the Autobots and Decepticons. This time around, the stakes have never been higher and the chaos has never been more chaotic. This is episode 6, the attack on the Ignition Chamber. Alright, before we begin, let's set up some ground rules. On-screen deaths will be counted, and a few off-screen implied deaths will also be counted in this episode. If we see that 50 humans land on the Ignition Chamber, and by the end of the fight we only see 10 of those humans, escape the Ignition Chamber in parachutes, then that means that at least 40 humans got killed. And same thing applies to Transformers. If we see 5 protoforms at the start of the fight and we don't see any by the end of the fight, then that means those 5 protoforms ended up dying. So implied deaths do count. I'll also be counting some vehicles as kills, because they're war assets and they're very expensive, so human jets, tanks, Cybertronian ships, and a few of the like will also be counted, though they'll have their own little category to not get them mixed up. And finally, since this is the last movie of the Bayverse and we're not gonna see any of these characters return, technically if we see, for example, Megatron being kicked out of the Ignition Chamber, while he could realistically survive, the movie doesn't imply that he did, and we're never gonna find out if he actually legitimately did, because the Bayverse is over and we're never gonna revisit it again. Situations like that will be counted as death, since this is basically the end of the Bayverse period. And finally, one more rule. I'm also gonna count the deaths that happen outside of the Ignition Chamber. I mean, we have a giant planet crashing into another planet. You think that no one died from that? At least some people ended up getting killed by chunks of Cybertron ravaging entire cities, But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, okay? We're gonna start with the Decepticons at Stonehenge. They have captured the staff and now they're trying to use it to drain Earth's life force and transfer it back to Cybertron. Then Anthony Hopkins pulls the tried and true method of anything can be a transformer. It turns out his cane is a transformer and uses it to shoot Megatron. What else could be a transformer? It just makes you wonder, what else could be a transformer? His bathrobe, his dog, his door, his butler, his watch. Oh wait, then we get a nice change of pace and we get the power of the British instead of the Americans fighting the Decepticons for a short time. The Decepticons, surprisingly enough, despite being very skilled and dangerous killing machines, don't kill a single human during this fire exchange, which is honestly kinda sad. And then Megatron decides that he has had enough and decides to activate the MacGuffin to start sucking the life out of Earth.
About to get his soul sucked. I love the scream right before.
During the firefight, Megatron finally notices Anthony Hopkins and shoots him, which I have to say, this is the most important character Megatron has killed in the movies since the time he killed Optimus Prime in the second movie, and even then Optimus Prime didn't stay dead for long.
You did it. Good job. I can't believe it. I'm proud of you.
Anyway, Megatron's planet needs him, so he leaves and meets up with Quintessa, giving her her quote-unquote staff of power back. Quintessa then starts the energy transfer, sucking the life out of Earth and revitalizing Cybertron once again. The Autobots all rendezvous with Optimus Prime and the humans, and they start making their plans for attack. Optimus Prime gives one last inspirational speech and then disappears, only to reappear at the most opportune time to sweep in, steal the glory and look cool, which there was no real reason for Optimus Prime to go missing or to go ahead all by himself. What was he doing anyway? But anyway, the Knights, the humans and the Autobots meet up inside the Night Ship and they start getting ready to assault the ignition chamber. After some pointless human interaction and banter from characters that we honestly don't really care about, aside from Lennox, the fight begins. The human offsprays take off, the Knights combine into Dragonstorm. A few human jets get close to the ignition chamber to scout ahead, but one ship unfortunately gets shot down by some of the Decepticons' anti-air cannons, resulting in the second casualty of this war. And then another one gets shot down. The Autobots and the humans finally start making their way to the ignition chamber, dodging Cybertron's tentacles? What would you call those things? All the while Hound and Crossers are able to take down two Decepticon fighters. However, this one Decepticon pilot has his permit and not his license to fly, so he wasn't ready for this kind of fight and gets killed by Texan flying straight into one of Cybertron's chunks. One human offspray gets shot down by two Decepticon fighters. Now, I went back to the earlier scene and I counted that approximately one offspray can hold up to 10 human soldiers plus 2 pilots. So meaning that from this one offspray dying, we actually have around 12 human casualties. Dragonstorm then finally decides to do something and goes after the fighters that just killed a bunch of humans. Using his Dragonfire, he's able to take one ship down and goes in pursuit of the other one. The offsprays and the fighter jets finally get close enough to the ignition chamber. And after a rough landing, all offsprays get destroyed, with every single human inside of them being perfectly fine cause in total 5 offsprays were destroyed, but we're not counting the crew of all of them cause like we all know, humans, and more specifically the American military, have plot armor in these movies, so they're not allowed to die. Then the power of our amazing American military starts fighting the evil Decepticons, who head out into the battlefield to fight them. The humans start rushing the ignition chamber, and we see 2 humans getting caught up in some explosions. Now, I know that some of you guys will say, but fire, the explosions, they're not even inside the explosions, they're right next to it. Well guys, listen, missiles have a lot of power, and the missile doesn't have to hit you for the shockwave to kill you. These guys are dead, okay? I don't care what you guys are saying, these guys are dead. The rest of the humans start running, and 2 more humans get killed by explosions, with another one getting hit directly with a missile, surprisingly enough, which makes our first on-screen human direct missile hit, so whatever protoform landed that hit, he deserves a promotion. Key Jaeger runs dramatically towards the battlefield, while more humans end up getting killed behind him.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
As we finally see the humans taking position and heading to cover, we actually see 2 human corpses littering the battlefield. The assault is going very poorly for our American heroes, but up in the sky, the Autobots are turning the tide of the battle as Hound and Bumblebee take down another Decepticon ship, while Hot Rod takes down
another one,
which lands right in front of the humans, almost killing them, which nice going, Hot Rod. After that, we kinda get a bunch of nothing as the humans are getting closer to the Decepticons, but none of them die. Hound joins in and they start fighting together for once, but no protoforms are visibly seen getting killed. Hound gets hit, but he's still completely fine. We see the humans right next to Hound shooting the Decepticons, and we actually see 2 Infernicons or protoforms. It's very hard to tell, because the Infernicons have a big arm-mounted gun, and that's what you can see from these 2 when they get shot. So yeah, Hound just got 2 Infernicon kills. Then Megatron decides to finally stop digging around and commands Infernicus to combine and form Infernicus, which Megatron, why did you told him to separate and engage the enemy if you were just gonna have them combine again a few minutes later? Megatron's a terrible tactician and an even worse leader. But Bumblebee and Hot Rod take the drop on Infernicus and hit him from behind. Infernicus, however, turns out that he's a little tougher than your average father Decepticon drone and actually manages to shoot them down, resulting on 2 Autobot ships lost. We then cut back to the human command center as they're seeing footage of the ongoing battle. In one of the panels, you can actually see an explosion right on top of one of the moving humans, resulting on another human dead. The humans start preparing to ditch the mission just as Squeaks finally makes it to one of the anti-air guns. He transforms his arm into a very over-the-top large alien rifle and somehow destroys the bigger gun by destroying the smaller one that it was connected to. Either Squeak's firepower is ridiculously broken, or that thing is shoddy Decepticon engineering, which to be honest is probably both. The humans notice that the anti-air gun has been destroyed, and the humans and Autobots start mobilizing once again. One human soldier actually gets caught up in the explosion and dies. This is probably the first fight I cover through all the series except for the Blackout Raid, where the Decepticons are actually doing a pretty good job shooting down the humans. Usually they have such a hard time killing just one of them, but in this battle so far, their aim has been shockingly good. Hell, they actually do way better than the highly trained BA-Con troopers, or even the stormtroopers from Star Wars. So enough humans have died by this point, and Optimus Prime decides to finally show up, riding Dragonstorm for some reason. Dragonstorm distracts Infernicus so Optimus Prime can get the drop on him, force him to separate. After dropping a one-liner, all the Infernicus rush at Optimus at the same time, but unfortunately, the power of plot armor is way too strong and Optimus is able to decapitate all 6 Infernicons at the same time, killing them, then ordering his Autobots to attack. The humans, however, have other ideas and they're ready to ditch. However, just as they're about to signal the jets to target one of Cybertron's chunks, a human gets killed in the background by an explosion again. The jets are successful in shooting down one of Cybertron's chunks, the humans leave, but of course our 2 main characters who are now in love, despite only knowing each other for less than, what, a day? 2 days? We then see the 2 rushing to the ignition chamber, and they don't get shot down by anything or anyone. And when we see the Autobots engaging the Decepticons, we see that Megatron and Nacho Zeus are the last Decepticons left standing. Earlier before the fight began, when Megatron met with Quintessa, I counted a total of around 12 Decepticon ships and 18 protoforms in total. Throughout the fight, some ships have been shot down and few Decepticon protoforms maybe have been killed. So the fact that none of these guys are here, and presumably all of the Decepticon forces have been destroyed, means that around 12 ships have been destroyed in total, with 18 Decepticon protoforms being killed off screen. It would have been nice to see that, but I guess seeing the humans kiss was way more important. Then the power of gravity does its work and the ignition chamber is sent hurling down into Earth's atmosphere. The fight gets even more chaotic as the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting. However, Quintessa uses her weird, magic, quote unquote, to stop the ignition chamber from falling. The Autobots fight the Decepticons once again, and Megatron is pretty powerless to get a single kill on any of these smaller and squishier Autobots. Quintessa then says what we're all thinking: Megatron, kill her! Just do that and you win! But instead Megatron's like, nah fan, I'm gonna kill Bumblebee, which causes Optimus Prime to sneak up on him and disarm him. The 2 of them exchange some words which honestly don't really mean much by this point, because ever since Revenge of the Fallen these 2 haven't interacted much, and then Optimus Prime kicks Megatron out of the ignition chamber. And yes, I know Megatron can fly even without an arm and even without his jet mode, so he should technically still be alive, but this is the end of the Bayverse. We're never gonna get an official Transformers 6, so this is the last we'll ever see of movie Megatron, so he's dead. The ignition chamber then starts falling again. Tragically, Bumblebee kills the coolest Decepticon that Michael Bay ever came up with, in a very underwhelming way I might add. Vivian gets a hold of the staff once again to stop the energy transfer, and Optimus engages Quintessa. Bumblebee is able to shoot her down and then she disappears. Now, because we know of the post-credit scene that she's still alive, we I'm not gonna count her like I did Megatron, so yeah, this one doesn't count. So the humans take the staff, the energy transfer stops, the ignition chamber falls, Optimus saves the humans, and I get how Optimus Prime survived and the humans survived because Optimus can fly, but how did Bumblebee, Hot Rod, Hound, and Squeak survive? Well, are you telling me that their armors are so strong that they can survive an impact from the atmosphere all the way to the Earth, but then getting shot by humans or some missiles is enough to hurt them? That don't make no sense. But anyways, the day is saved, the Earth and humanity are still alive, the Autobots have Cybertron back, so they leave to rebuild their planet. And this anchors Cybertron from Earth, concluding the long-running Michael Bay universe and ending with a post-credit scene that doesn't mean anything because a Transformers 6 will never happen. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the last night. But we're not done just yet. Listen, unlike the Battle of Mission City, the Battle of Egypt, the Battle of Chicago, the Battle of Hong Kong, this fight is weird because it doesn't really affect one particular area. This fight kind of affects the whole world because, you know, we had chunks of Cybertron literally ravaging the Earth as the Autobots are fighting, and several cities and places around the world are being destroyed, and that's not even taking into account the riots and panicked people all around the world doing what they can to survive. And in case you guys don't know, when humans are in a panic, people usually get killed. I mean, just look at Black Friday. People rushing in to be early to a Black Friday sale results in people getting trampled to death. And that's just Black Friday sales. Imagine if there's another planet about to crash to the Earth. Imagine the mass panic that will be on the streets. Looting, killing, raiding. In fact, we actually see a bit of that in the last night, although shortly. And there's no way you can convince me that this did not at least kill somebody. But unfortunately, the movie doesn't really give us any clear answers as to, you know, how many people are dying or how many have died. But we can actually make an estimate as to how many did die. First, we need to know what places is Cybertron targeting. So we do know that, you know, Africa is one of them, the Middle East is one of them, Europe's one of them, Asia is one of them. So it's definitely around this area of the globe. We have no word on America or South America, so those places should be relatively fine, I guess. Except for all the looting and rioting that must be surely going on. Hell, America does that a lot even without a giant planet on our doorstep. So decided to calculate the maximum population in all of these continents. So Asia has a population of 4,561,000,000. Africa has a population of 1,216,000,000, while Europe has a population of 746.4 million. Which in total adds up to 6,523,000,000 people. Now, I'm not saying that this amount of people died. I'm saying this is the total amount of population that is on this area. Now, it's a bit impossible to tell how many people realistically die from this, but since we know that Cybertron is kind of targeting, you know, general population centers, like big populated cities where there's bound to be a lot of people, we can make a general conservative estimate of like the general amount of death that there should be on this place. So if we add up the population and we say that at minimum 1/8 got killed, this is a very lowball estimate, will be 8,154,250. Of course, this is just 1/8 of the total population. This number could be double that, or even triple that, or even half the total amount. But I'm just gonna run with this number because it's the minimum, the very least. At the very least, I feel like 8 million dying from Cybertron's chunks, or at least from the disorder and panic people in these areas is realistic. It's like the conservative estimate. I'm not a math expert, so I'm just going with a conservative estimate. But in total, counting the battle, we have 3 human jets, 12 Decepticon ships, 6 human Ospreys, 25 human soldiers, 18 Decepticon protoforms, 8 Infernicons, 2 Autobot ships, 1 Decepticon anti-air gun, 1 Megatron, 1 Nitrosus, and 1 Sir Edmund, leaving our total number of kills to 78. And if you want to count the conservative estimate that I made of like the amount of people getting killed in the background as the fight's raging on, which technically they're part of the fight because unlike Chicago, which just affects Chicago, this fight affects the whole world. The amount will probably be around 8,154,250 human casualties in the background, which adds up to 8,154,328. Which by default makes it the battle with the most casualties period, but that's only if you want to count all the humans dying in the background. Which, considering the stakes of the fight and all the areas that are being affected by it, I think it's valid to also consider all those people who are probably dying in the background. So yeah, this fight is now first place in the Collateral Damage rankings, with second place being the Blackout Raid from the first movie, third place being the Hong Kong battle from Age of Extinction, fifth place being the Siege on Cybertron from the Bumblebee movie, and final place being the Battle of Mission City from the first movie. Though again, this battle only gets that high if you wanna count all the humans dying in the background as the battle's raging on. If you just want to count the on-screen deaths that we saw on the battlefield and not everything else, this battle will be 4th place in the ranking, lower than the Siege on Cybertron from the BB movie, but higher than the Mission City battle from the first movie. So it all depends on your point of view, but hey, it's my video, it's my series, it's my channel, so I say this goes on number 1, so it kinda does feel a bit like cheating.
Nice.
Anyways guys, that's it for this video. Let me know what other battles I should cover for the movies. I'm thinking doing the Egypt battle next, cause that one is a battle I had my eyes set on for quite a long time. I know a lot of people want me to do Chicago, but I want to save Chicago for the ending cause that's the one that everyone wants. I want to do a few more minor ones first before just tackling the big one that is Chicago, cause that one is definitely gonna be huge. Because the amount of kills for that one, at least the visual on-screen ones, is gonna be more than this one. But I think the total amount of deaths is gonna be lower than this video. Because I mean, there's no way 80 million people died at the Battle of Chicago. There's just no way. Because Chicago is one small city, and this covers like 3 continents at the same time. So, you know, more people dying here makes a whole lot more sense than Chicago. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the matter. But anyways guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you'll enjoy. Let me know which battles you guys would like me to cover next, and if you really think we should be counting the off-screen human population that are in these 3 continents. Because I know there's gonna be quite a bit of debate on that, whether we should count it or not. You guys already know my 2 cents on the matter, so I just wanna hear what you guys think. So anyways, that's it for this video guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe guys. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our amazing Patreons, Xavier the God, Stitch Productions, Scrub Lordo, Allspark Studios, Epic Nin, Low Racer, Transformers Gears and Brawn, that's quite a long name, Up Nation Reviews, Joshua, James Newbold, and an even bigger shout out to our even bigger patrons, Jordan the Great, and our newest top tier Patreon, named K-High, or Namek High, how would you pronounce that? And X-Number23, who donated a amount of money. By donating to my Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. Get a shout out to you and your YouTube channel in the description down below. You get to collab with me in some of my videos if you so choose to. You can request some artwork from me, get exclusive early access to some of my videos, and some other projects I'm currently working on in the background, and I'm constantly updating the Patreon with brand new rewards and new content for you guys to enjoy, and a bunch of other stuff I plan to make public in the future. Be sure to check out my Patreon's YouTube channels, they're all gonna be in the description down below. They also do some really cool content over there that is surely worth your time. Keep in mind this is 100% optional since freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you guys so much for donating, it's much appreciated, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Stay safe guys.